guys, it's Kasim. How you doing? I hope everything is okay. I hope you're doing well. I hope your week has been going okay. So I saw this story that has just been all over social media. It's been all over the news about Mason Greenwood and the allegations that have been made about him. And I was really reflecting on it, and I've been thinking about it, and I've been really kind of going inside myself and looking at myself and thinking, Kasim, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think? What does this teach you about yourself? And I thought that I would share some of my thoughts that I've been thinking about with you. And maybe they might trigger something for you. Maybe they might get you to think about something in your own life, and maybe in some way add some value to the quality of your life, so that it can help you become a higher, fuller expression of who you're capable of becoming. But guys, if you want to help me get to 1,000 subscribers by June, and you want to support me, please can you subscribe to my channel? You would be an absolute legend. Okay, so let's go into it. Let's talk about some of the things that I wrote down here that I've been thinking about in relation to this. So automatically, the first thing that I've been thinking about, as I've been reading this story, as I've been listening to the audio tape that has been out, as I've been looking at the video that she recorded of her face, that she's been bruised and she was bleeding, which is absolutely horrible. The first thing that I was thinking about is, Kasim, don't judge. Don't make any final conclusions on anything until you've got the full information. Because guys, let's be completely honest. How many times have we made a conclusion about something, and then the conclusion that we've made is not right? And the thing that I've been thinking about is, Kasim, you're not trying to side with one person. What you're looking for is the truth, right? You want to figure out what happened to this girl. Why, like, what led up to her getting into a situation like this? And in order to do that, that means that you're going to have to be impartial. That means you can't just side with her, because God forbid that because the thing is, God forbid that she's lying or something like that. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm not saying that he did it. What I'm saying is that we don't have enough information in order to make to figure out what the actual truth of this was. And the thing that I always have to think about is that context matters. Context absolutely matters. We don't know whether this video happened yesterday. We don't know whether it happened 2 weeks ago, right? And the reason why I'm saying this to you is because in order to clearly this girl is strategic in her thinking, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But she's strategic because she's got voice recordings, she's got videos, and in order to do that kind of stuff, that means you have to be conscious of actually what is happening around you, and then all of a sudden you strategically start thinking about what you want to do with it, what you're gonna, where you're gonna go with it, etc., etc. So it isn't like she was blind to what is actually happening around her. Now, she may have been in a situation where she felt stuck, where she felt like she couldn't escape, nobody would believe her, which is a common thing, right? A lot of women who go through domestic abuse, and in fact men who go through domestic abuse, can't feel like they can't escape, because in part they just don't see a way out. They don't think that they're going to be believed by people, right? Which might be part of the reason why this girl decided to put it on social media, because she would get more sympathy, because more people would see she would stop other people from experiencing what she experienced. But my point is, there are so many variations and so many different answers and so many different unanswered questions in this case, that none of us can make a conclusion, right? When you go to and the thing that I would say to this, which I think is really important, is that when somebody goes to trial, let's say somebody's committed a crime and they go to trial and they have a jury, and the jury is going to have to decide what they did. Remember that the jury cannot make their decision until they've had all the evidence. Why? Because the evidence matters. They can't make a full decision and know that they're making the right decision, meaning they found the truth, right? That they're being fair, that they're actually carrying out justice. They can't do that until they've understood one of the things that when you go when you're part of a jury, you want to know about the person who's being convicted. You want to know, how were they brought up? What were the circumstances that led them to this situation? Like, did they kill somebody because they were in self-defense, or did they kill somebody because they planned it out? Right? That's why there's a difference between first-degree murder and second-degree murder, because first-degree murder requires that you plan things out and etc. Right? And so that I think is really important. And as you're watching more about this case unfold, one of the things that I would persuade you to think about is: are you simply trying to look like a good person, trying to look like the person who's higher than thou, and just simply supporting her and taking her on blind faith, or have you found the actual truth? Do you know the circumstances that led up to this, right? Because many times what we see is simply a snippet of what actually happened, right? We don't know what happened. We don't know the circumstances, right? How many times has somebody recorded something? You know, I'm telling you this because recently I've been watching a lot of videos about these, what do you call them, Karens. And many times people, okay, let me go back slightly because this will explain more why. So basically, when police officers today all pretty much have these cameras, right, which they record. But I didn't know how those cameras worked. The way those cameras work, the police officer cameras that they have, is they don't actually turn them on until they are going to an incident. And what they do is when they turn the camera on, it actually records, relapses and starts recording 30 seconds beforehand, before the actual filming starts. Does that make sense what I mean by that? It goes back and starts recording. So it's on a hard drive and it's obviously recording all the time, but the actual recording that they keep goes back 30 seconds of memory, right? And the reason for that is that the 30 seconds matters. What is it that happened 30 seconds before the officer decided to start recording, or the officer started to arrest somebody or go and shoot somebody? The 30 seconds before that matters a lot. And without that 30 seconds, you have no context. You don't actually know what happened. You're simply seeing a result. So first thing is, ask yourself, do you actually know the truth, or are you just going on conclusions? Number two. So the second thing that I wrote down here is that I wrote down that his career is over. And the reason why I wrote down that his career is over is because these allegations are so profound and they're so bad that there is no way of going back from these allegations. Like the destruction that they're gonna have on his life, on his family, on the football club that he plays for, is gonna be so destructive that there is no way of coming back from this kind of destruction. And one of the things that I wrote down here is that the only thing that can destroy what you have built is your character, right? And you know, I'm going to be making a journal. One of the journal notes that I made down, which I'm going to be talking about, is I wrote down that you are one choice away from being in prison. You have no idea how quickly things can go from perfect to losing everything. Don't be so naive as to think that your intellect, your success, or worse, who you are today can protect you from life, right? And the second thing that I wrote down in regards to that is that you're overlooking something, right, about yourself. Human beings have been responsible for slavery, concentration camps, genocides, wars, and the thing that you're overlooking is that you are one of them, right? And that's so very true. A lot of us think that we're above reproach. A lot of us think that we're above corruption. We think that we're above cheating. We think that we're above abuse. But you don't know until you've actually, I say to people that if you truly, genuinely live life, you will truly be pushed and tested to such a degree that you will be taken to places that you yourself don't think that you could be taken to. Like, I've met guys and I've interviewed guys who've been married for 15, 20 years. They've been great husbands. They've been there for their children. They've turned up to school meetings and school plays, and they've taken their kids to football and ballet, and they've been wonderful to their wife. And one day, they just cheat. Right? The opportunity just arrives itself that they are vulnerable and they just cheat. And you think, how can somebody do something like that when they've given 20 years of their life? Why? Because we're human. We all make mistakes. Now, in me saying that, I'm not saying that what Mason did is okay, but we don't know what he did because we're simply going on accusations. But my point is that you may be looking at Mason and thinking, God, he's a bad person, oh, he's different, he's evil, whatever, but he's still a human being like you. which means that you think that you may be looking at him and thinking that you're so high up on your horse, you're so superior, you would never do anything like that, but you don't know. I say to people all the time that if you put somebody under the right circumstances, every human being would kill another human being. Now, you're going to be listening to me, you're going to be like, fuck off, Cass, of course I'd never kill. Yeah, let me put it like this. If you were in a situation where your family, somebody who you love, you and them were abducted, okay? You've been tortured, you've seen them being tortured, you've seen them being raped, you've seen them being, horrible things have been done to them, and you see a gap where maybe a gun or a knife, the person who's the perpetrator, you see a gap where you could kill them and save both of you. Would you do it? Now, every time I've asked that question, everyone's like, well, of course I'd do it, Cass. But that's never going to happen. My point is that you would do it, which means that you have the capacity, you have it within you. So you think that you're above, meaning that if you were put in the right circumstances, you would do something like that. So I say this to you, and it's really the emphasis of what I'm trying to say to you is that the only thing that's going to destroy everything that you've got in your life is you. Therefore, you need to work on yourself. Like basic things. Do you go counseling? Do you go to therapy? Right? You know that things like people who become really heavily depressed, people who have nobody to reflect them, or to bounce back their ideas or their ideologies, right? They are the people who end up being destructive in the world. Like, do you have an entourage? Because if you do, that means you have a load of people around you who agree with you. How many people in your life do you come across on a regular basis who challenges you, directly oppose what you believe? You're a Muslim, do you have friends of yours who are Christians, who are into Taoism, who are Buddhists? You absolutely love... It's funny enough that we talk about this. One of the things that I'm going to be talking about in another diary is about... Oh, what was it? Basically, I'm going to be talking about a question which is that do most men cheat on their wives? And one of the things that I wrote down is that it depends on your circle. It depends on who you have around you, right? Because if you have friends around you, one of the reasons why so many men cheat is because their friends allow it. Their friends think it's a joke, their friends think it's funny, and therefore their friends don't hold them accountable. So if the majority of your friends would not speak to you, would cast you out of their friendship group if you cheat, you ain't going to do it in front of them. You might do it behind their backs, but you ain't going to do it when they're present. And so you've got to start asking yourself, who do you have around you, right? Do people around you oppose you directly? Do people around you challenge you? Have you got friends who say to you, man, you've seriously got an anger management problem, like you need to sort it out? Or do they think it's a joke or don't say anything to you, right? In other words, who do you have in your life who is above you that can manage you? Because a lot of lads don't have anybody in their life who is close to them, who is saying to them, what the fuck are you doing? Like, stop doing that. You're messing up your life. You're making the wrong decision. We don't have anybody. So our extremes get pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed to the edge. That's the second thing that I was thinking about. The third thing that I was thinking about is about accountability. You know, I am all about personal responsibility, right? It is the foundation of everything that I teach people. And my question, as I was listening to this and I'm watching these videos, I was asking myself, but what was her role? What was her role in all of this? Because it takes two to tango, right? It takes two people to have a relationship. So my question, okay, you've made the accusation of what he's done and what he's got to, but what was your role in this? Did you enable him? Did you not see the red flags? Like, look, I've come to the conclusion pretty much down to the T that women's instincts are almost never wrong, right? And I've noticed that when it comes to people and the judgment of people, women are almost never wrong. Women are pretty spot on 9 times out of 10. Obviously, there are times when women are wrong and they've completely got it wrong. But 9 times out of 10, I have found that women pretty much are spot on their judgment of the character of people. Therefore, if a woman says, you know, I don't like this guy, he seems off with me, they're usually right 9 times out of 10, right? And so what I have noticed is, if you then get yourself into a situation like this, where this girl has gotten herself into a situation like this, my question would be, What the hell happened to her instincts? Is she not attuned to herself? How could you have got this far into this? This is because the thing is, things like this, where you are being hit and punched and things like that, these are not like a one-time thing. They're usually a build-up. Okay, usually the person has you've got into an argument and they've punched a wall. You've got into an argument and they've thrown you on the bed. Like, there's usually a build-up. And so my question to you is, number one, who was she, what was her role in? Did she not speak to anyone around her about this? Did she not feel comfortable to speak to one? Did she not have a counselor? Did she not have a coach? Did she not go online and look at signs? Well, number one, did she not know what signs of domestic abuse were like? Like, was she in it because she was willing to sacrifice overlook the red flags because the guy was gonna be on a trajectory of becoming successful, or she was getting clout, or she was I want to know what was her role, right? And I say that because as people, we all have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, what are we doing in our lives? How are we contributing to some of the things that are happening in our lives? Because a lot of us, when things happen, all we do is blame everybody else. We blame the world, we blame society, we blame our mum. But actually, what role did we have in it, right? Because we have to have had a role. Unless you're saying this girl was coerced, everything that she did, every decision that she made was all false. She was under pressure by everybody. She never had any choice over anything, right? How did she get into the bedroom? And right. Like, there's so many questions on that, but I'm going to finish up that. But it's just something for you to think about. The last thing that I wrote down is this your fight? Right? And related to this is, I basically believe that every single one of us has a fight in life. We have something that we are supposed to basically balance out in life. And my question to you is this your fight? Is this what you're supposed to be fighting? Because if you're going online and writing all these comments and saying how bad he is and trying to persecute him, my question is, are you focusing on your life? Are you focusing on things that really are irrelevant to you? Because this might not be relevant to you. This might mean absolutely nothing to your life. You've never suffered domestic abuse. You don't know anyone who suffered domestic abuse. He doesn't, like, you going online and writing all these comments and trying to persecute him with that information literally will have no consequence on your life directly. And I ask you, are you engaging yourself in things that really don't matter? Like, I had to think about this. I was like, Kasim, before you do this video and post this video, is this really going to help your life in some way? Right? And for me, I was like, not particularly, no. But let me tell you what it does. At least it's gonna, if I do the video, it's gonna get people to think about their own lives. It's gonna get people to think about the red flags in their life, about decisions that they're making, about the way in which they are thinking about decision making. So actually, it may not impact me directly, but at least it's gonna help somebody else, and it's gonna be of some value to them. And it isn't all about me and my ego and what I want and trying to persecute somebody, because the reality is somebody's life is about to be destroyed. Mason's life is literally about to be destroyed. There is no way he can come back from this in terms of his footballing career. He's into, like, and the thing is, like, I don't even want to get into this, but to finish this off, one of the strategies that women, you know, women are not violent, so the only strategy that they can use is that they have to use a reputation destruction, right? And therefore, of course, like, when you start looking at this, you start thinking, wait, hold on a minute. So she recorded the video. So that means she was thinking about what she was going to do with this. Well, hold on a minute. And where she was going to post it and who she was going to post it to. Hold on a minute. So she recorded a video. And my question was, why did she put it online? Why didn't she just go to the police instead of putting it online? Because there's a lot of people who go through domestic abuse, they don't put it online. What was her intention? Was she trying to, like, what was it? Like, there's so many questions about this whole thing anyway, which we don't know. But my point is, like, is this really adding to your life? I don't know. It's just something for you to think about. But to just, as a final thought, I think it's absolutely obviously disgusting what she's allegedly saying happened, because this should never happen to anyone. I have 4 sisters, so for me, this is like my absolute worst nightmare. But yes, what do you think? I'd love to hear what your comments are. Comment below. Yeah, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Let's have a conversation. If you want to help me get to 1,000 subscribers by June, guys, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching. and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.